Welcome to the Rangers Roost. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I am the creator of Jump Rangers, and this is our weekly chat where we sit down, we talk about geek culture, game development, screenwriting, all the things that contribute to a life in entertainment and the arts. You know what I'm realizing, however? I didn't update my stream information. I'm going to fix that right now. No, I did. I did. It looks good. Okay. All right, great. Um, so today I think we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to actually keep a creative focus when um, when life has other plans, or when we're having emotional problems, or when you know society is self-destructing in various ways before our very eyes. All the things that might be contributing to somebody's challenges and frustrations when it comes to building a creative future in this day and age. And, you know, what we're going to talk about here are techniques. We're not necessarily going to talk about catch all solutions because at the end of the day, the problems that we're facing in society right now are real. They're not, um, it's not a sign of weakness to be struggling right now. And that's important for us all to recognize that the problems that we're having, the challenges that we're facing are valid, and they're causing people anxiety, and that's because they impact all of our security as people. Nobody's safe, and there's certainly a school of thought where you can't be productive and you can't be creative when you're not safe. I think history absolutely would argue against that. I think some of the most successful creative movements happened when the people doing the creating weren't safe. And I think part of the reason why those creative movements are so powerful is because they're a testament to the strength of the people who did the creating under those circumstances. So, you know, and on top of that, if there's anyone out there who is looking to build a creative life and a creative career, it doesn't do any good for us to say, well, the time just isn't right. That's not helpful. There's nothing useful about that. So we're not going to have that conversation because you shouldn't wait. You shouldn't wait for a more appropriate time unless you don't have any other choice. What we are going to talk about are just some of the techniques that I've used in the past. This is an article that I wrote for originally Stage 32. I don't know exactly when I did it, but it was quite some time ago. And it's a part of a series of articles that all started with my traumatic brain injury. I don't know if I've ever said this on stream, but I was hit in the head with a sword back in 2013 on a set under deplorable circumstances. And for the next 6 or 7 years, I struggled to walk sometimes. I struggled to speak sometimes. I had all kinds of problems. And for the first year, 2 years of that experience, I was pretty sure I was going to die of a stroke. So I wrote down everything I understood about entertainment, everything I knew about show business, in order to, at the very least, offer what I had to give to the other people in my show community. And that emerged as about 200 articles, which I called the Developmental Breakdown on Facebook. And since then, I've been refining those lessons. And kind of the next iteration of that refinement happened on Stage 32. This is a reprint of that article. I've been reposting them on LinkedIn. It's called Inspiration and the Will to Work. It was just posted today. Um, Happy February, stage 32. By now, I think most of the readers on this site know me pretty well. For those who don't, I'm a screenwriter, a playwright, a director, a producer, a script doctor of growing repute, a game designer, novelist, and in all respects, a world builder and storyteller. By now, I've worked as an executive for more than a decade, and I've written more than 40 feature film scripts. I've written more than 50. I've written probably more than 60. I can't keep track. Many of them ghostwritten. Many, better than half for sure. My personal backstory is a bizarre and twisted odyssey of life shattering experiences, ranging from a film development career with front row seats to the drug abuse, investment fraud, and clout chasing that gives Hollywood such a bad reputation, to traumatic brain injury at the hands of a bad stunt coordinator and years of subsequent and recently concluded homelessness. If I'm being honest, the events of the last 10 years have made the more recent uncertainties of civil unrest and pandemic life seem pretty manageable. Through it all, day by day, I get my writing done. In 2020, I wrote more screenplays than I have in any previous year. I wrote 5 supplements to my tabletop role playing game, and I made it through the first third of my debut novel. I had to rewrite that whole thing. Since January 1st, I've written a very good pilot, an epic feature script, and the treatment for yet another feature, which I'll be writing over the next week and a half. How am I doing this? Don't I get tired or depressed or overwhelmed? When my whole world has felt like it's falling apart for the last 10 years straight, where am I getting all this? That's a terrible sentence. Where am I getting all this inspiration from? I gotta fix that. Creativity is a muscle, is the headline. The trick, William Potter, is not caring that it hurts. Peter O'Toole, Lawrence of Arabia. Our collective notion of creativity as something we wait around for like we're on some kind of dopey blind date is one of the most fundamentally damaging side effects of our need as artists to romanticize our work. By painting this image of creative inspiration as an ethereal and fleeting force in our lives, we've encouraged countless billions of people around the world to put off their creative ambitions until the time is right and the muse is present. No, friends. Creativity is a muscle. If you want power and acceleration out of your muscles, you need to train those muscles well. Going to the gym sucks until it doesn't. I'm sorry to break this to you so unceremoniously, but creative work functions in precisely the same way. Don't expect to be overcome with some magical urge to work. Fight through your resistance and put in the time to develop your craft. Over weeks, months, and years of labor, your resistance to the process gradually erodes and you find a deeper level of appreciation for the craft. No matter how organic your process is, organic is in quotes because that's a buzzword. when you hear the when you hear the word organic from somebody talking about the creative process, you know they just hate work, right? When a director doesn't like to do a shot list because they like to find their shots organically, what that means is they'd rather have the DP do the work than to do it themselves. That's exactly what it means. People are going to fight me on this, but I'm going to be right every time. No matter how organic your process is, you're not going to find the pleasure in the work unless you start working and start working regularly. 2 pages a day. If your dream is to become a writer, then I offer you the wisdom of our esteemed and prolific colleague, screenwriter Bill Martell. Getting 2 pages a day every day means you're making progress on your project. By the way, the same thing has been said by Robert Cargill, also prolific, also an esteemed colleague. Both of these guys are fantastic. Bill Martell and Robert Cargill are screenwriters, regularly working screenwriters in different orders of scale, I would say. Um, but both of them relentless and both of them extremely generous in how they provide information to the community. Neither of these people is somebody that anybody who's working on building a career in screenwriting can afford to ignore. That's for sure. Getting 2 pages a day every day means you're making progress on your project. Even if those pages are garbage, they move you closer to the moment when you can start rewriting a finished work. Some days, certainly, you'll find a rhythm to the work and you'll wind up writing more. Other days, 2 pages is all you get. But even if 2 pages a day is all you can manage, that's 6 screenplays a year. 2 pages a day for 365 days is easily 2 novels. If the writing doesn't feel natural or if it doesn't flow in a satisfying way, don't worry about it. Find your flow through practice. Learn to compartmentalize the more distracting parts of your life and get your work done. Free movie ideas. Back in my post on cashing in on your $1 million idea, which is another conversation we probably need to have on this stream, I floated the controversial observation that ideas have no actual value in Hollywood and that anyone who believes differently is in for a very rough landing in show business. When a person has creative skill, that's because we develop that skill in order to express our ideas. No great writer, director, actor, or designer needs an idea guy whispering brilliance into our ear. Every single one of us has had our hands full just trying to keep up with our own crazy imaginations. True. You can have that too. You can have that too. Like I keep saying, the ability to come up with ideas is something we can train into ourselves. When my own life starts getting restrictive and when I'm putting too much time into uncreative work to properly keep my skills sharp, I make sure to post one hashtag free movie idea on Twitter every single day. I'm no longer on Twitter. If you log into Twitter and you run a search under that hashtag, you'll see that I've posted literally thousands of them. Consequently, I'm very good at coming up with movie ideas on the fly. That's true. I'm at a point now where I've written so many ideas and so many pitches that um, I can walk into a meeting blind, listen to a producer's needs, and start pitching. And um, I'm gonna tell you, like it's shocked and scared my producer how good I am at this. This isn't, you know, it's not wizardry, it's not science. It's just work. It's just literally it is science. It's building the neural pathways to actually come up with solutions to problems on the fly, even if those problems are I need to write a story and I don't know what to write about. You see what I'm saying? It's just a different kind of problem solving, and the more you work those kinds of problems, the faster you get at it. If you need help putting together a project to accommodate some specific financial or logistic resource, call me. In 24 hours, I'll have 3 strong pitches for you. Am I posting this outrageous claim on the internet because I'm so brazenly full of crap that I'll say anything for attention? Or am I saying this because I can deliver on my promise regardless of who asks me for this kind of help or what their needs are? Put me to the test by all means. Just know that I'll be asking you some specific questions about the liquidity of your development money before I start brainstorming on your behalf. You can have this very same level of confidence in your ability to generate ideas. Buy yourself a notebook or start a text file on your phone. Once a day, every day, write down a throwaway idea for a movie. Don't stress out over whether it's good, and don't bother developing it any further than that. Just write it down. Inside of a month, you'll have 2 projects you feel just as excited about as you do about that one special priceless baby that's supposed to define your whole creative identity. Inside of a year, you'll stop attaching to ideas altogether. Once you've grown into the principle that all ideas are created equal, you start putting your trust in the strength of your craft and the strength of your community. I guess we don't need to say any more about it than that. Daydreaming. This is something I haven't been doing. Probably the most important tool for exercising one's imagination is daydreaming. Plenty of people train themselves out of this habit as they grow up. Train yourself back into it. Picture a movie you love in your mind's eye. Follow the main character through that movie. When they reach a moment or 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 a setting in the film that you find particularly interesting, let them walk on without you. Stay in that scene and explore the area. Open the cupboards and the doors and find out what's inside. Daydreaming, really, it's just about asking questions and making up the answers. Just pick a question that's interesting to you and then develop a response that feels complete. Saturn's most interesting moon, Titan, has an atmosphere so thick that it's almost a liquid. Nobody can see what's down there. What's down there, do you suppose? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Maybe this show business joke is too old for the kids, but Carnegie Hall is famous symphony hall in New York, and the answer is practice, practice, practice. If you're having trouble finding the will to work, what with all the trauma and uncertainty of our times, I hear you. How many times have we all heard someone say, it just seems like a lot of people are having a hard time right now? Yes, of course. Getting strong in your craft is the only solution. Your creative muscles have atrophied, or you never built them up to begin with. Work them out. Don't push too hard, but push a little harder every day. If you're having trouble coming up with ideas you feel passionate about, don't sweat it. Just come up with any ideas you can. Write them down and move on. Sooner than you think, you'll be able to come up with ideas that trickle your creative fancy anytime you need them. If you're waiting for the right time to make something, stop waiting. You're missing the chance to put that thing out into the world. Knuckle down and go to the freaking gym. If a homeless cripple can get his pages in, I know you can too. So, I think the big takeaway here is that you have to treat your creativity like a muscle. A lot of people A lot of people sit around waiting for the one perfect idea that's going to define them. And you can have 10 perfect ideas that define you. But you have to have the bad ideas first, or you have to have the ideas that don't excite you quite as much first, just to get into the practice of having those ideas and maybe refining them into something that you actually do want. So it's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. If you're waiting for inspiration to strike, you're not developing yourself. You're not preparing yourself to have the ideas that you want to have. What you have to do is start with the ideas that aren't quite as exciting for you. Go ahead, write down 10 ideas or 20 ideas. And maybe the 30th one is the one that's going to work for you. And the bigger picture is that it doesn't the fact that that idea is going to work for you isn't because it's necessarily a better idea. Maybe it's more suitable to the resources that you have at your disposal. Maybe. Just as likely, you just have some fixed ideas about what's going to make you succeed and what's going to help you get what you want to get. I will also say that you can reverse engineer what you want. What is it you're trying to do? What is it you're trying to achieve? What is it you want from this idea? And what would solve that problem? What could you use to accomplish that goal? If you know that what you want is to build something transmedia, you want something that's not just a movie. You want to be developing world building. You want to be developing different kinds of media in the same overall universe and in the same overall story. Then you need a world that's bigger than one story. You do. Because what happens when that story ends? You need a world full of people doing interesting things. Okay? You also know, if that's the case, that this project of yours is going to be holding your attention for a very long time. So, fine. It's going to have to be a world that you're interested in. It's going to have to be something that keeps your interest alive. So, what are you interested in? What do you like? Start there. Is it science fiction? Is it fantasy? Is it a modern mythology? Is it what is it? Right? What captures your interest? What intrigues you? And already the focus of the whole thing is starting to narrow. And then it becomes a question of what do you think you have to offer? What what can you do that you can do better than somebody else? What can you bring to that genre or that idea or that setting? Is it something, you know, global? Is it an idea that affects how superheroes work, or is it an idea that affects a specific group of characters? Is it specific or is it general? And then as you start making a list, make a list of the things that you find interesting and that you need. And that list becomes the shape of what you're trying to build. And then in doing so, I think it's advisable to avoid just echoing other people's content. Find solutions to problems that lead you in new directions and that allow you to explore the content in refreshing ways, I think. Or or if you're going to pay homage, find ways of being specific in how that world, those stories, those characters are rendered, so that it's not the same thing that we've already seen from somebody else, so that you're not just repackaging something everybody's already very familiar with. And go from there. That's just how ideas work. Um, I think that's all I have to say. Having ideas is a muscle. Work the muscle out, and you'll have more ideas. And, also rest because you can burn a muscle out. You can hurt yourself by exercising too much. And, but you have to work out and then rest and then work out and then rest. It's about discipline. That's it. That's what I have to say. Thank you very much for watching this Ranger's Roost. I just got confirmation from Buster. I'm going to see if I've got confirmation from Liz. I do believe that we are moving forward with the rookies today. Give me 1 second and I will look it up. And tell you for sure. Just give me 1 sec. And no, we don't know yet for sure. But it seems like the rookies is back on today. So, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be streaming with Liz Ransdell, whose comic Alice, which is a modern adult hyper-violent take on Alice in Wonderland, is surpassing Kickstarter goals as we speak. And Buster the Destroyer of the Star Citizen community will be joining us as well. Their previous adventure up until this point is all archived on YouTube under the rookies. Please check it out. And don't be a stranger, Ranger.